I want to talk again about the Trinity, because last time I talked about this, I described the Trinity in a different way than what a lot of Christian groups describe it. Normally they describe it as God in the form of three distinct persons: the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. These three are each distinct persons, but they are one God. Okay. Now, I'm not arguing with that. But like I tried to describe last time, it's very confusing, especially for young believers. This can be something that is confusing. So, how I described it last time, as I said, you just think it's God. There's one God, and he pours out a portion of himself in the form of Jesus. And then he pours out a portion of himself in the form of the Holy Spirit. Now, I think this is a pretty good description. However, I think I made a mistake, because when you describe it this way, it kind of creates an image in your mind. So think of three glasses. Two of these glasses are empty. One is full. So you take the full glass and you pour some of it into the empty glass, the first empty glass. Then you take some of that and pour it into the second empty glass. Now we have three glasses that are only partly full. Each glass only has a little bit of water in it. That's kind of the image that this creates. And that's what I want to dispute, because that's not the case. Now, imagine you have three glasses. One is full. Two are empty. The first one represents Jesus. The first empty glass represents Jesus. The second empty glass represents the Holy Spirit. So now you take the first glass that's full. This represents the Father. And you pour it into the second glass that represents Jesus. You fill up the second glass. But the first glass never empties. The first glass stays full. So now you have a full glass that represents the Father and a full glass that represents Jesus. Now you take that glass again and you pour it into the third glass, which represents the Holy Spirit. And you fill that glass up to the top. And yet the first glass stays full. So now you end up with three filled glasses. This is what I'm referring to when I said he pours out a portion of himself in the form of Jesus, and he pours out a portion of himself in the form of the Holy Spirit. Not to say that he lessens when he pours out a portion of himself. He never lessens, because it is him. How can he lessen when it is still him? He cannot pour out a portion of himself in the form of Jesus and lessen, because Jesus exists. So as long as Jesus exists, he doesn't lessen, because he is the same. And he can pour out a portion of himself and in the form of the Holy Spirit, but he doesn't lessen, because the Holy Spirit exists. And as long as the Holy Spirit exists, he cannot lessen. So this is the way that I look at it. This is how I describe it, especially to people who don't really believe in the Trinity, like Jehovah's Witnesses. They try to complicate it. They try to make it a very difficult thing to try to put doubt in your mind. And for me, I just tell them, hey, it's God. God poured out a portion of himself in the form of Jesus. He poured out a portion of himself in the form of the Holy Spirit. That's it. That simple. I'm not going to make it more complicated than it is. Each one is the fullness of God. And that's it. Do I understand everything? I can't understand everything. But I know that. And that's about as simply as you can put it. So I just wanted to make this message so that it might avoid any misconception or any false idea that when I say he poured out a portion as Jesus and he poured out a portion as the Holy Spirit, that doesn't mean that he, the Father, lessens, because Jesus and the Holy Spirit exist and they are him. So he cannot lessen. So I just wanted to throw that out there, and I hope that this can help you in understanding the Trinity.